Well, here we are celebrating 40 years for Teddy. It's hard to imagine that Teddy's really 40 years old, but I guess he is if I'm 44. When I got the message from Gene and Londi that they wanted me to share some things, my first reaction was, man, I'm sorry I can't be there. I wish that I could adjust my schedule. I would have done just about anything to be able to be there right now in person to share this this great occasion and some of the funny times that we've all shared with the unique Teddy Tolliver. Uh, Teddy's known by everybody. I mean, whenever you go somewhere and you talk about Ted Tolliver, people know him. Matter of fact, I remember when I first heard there's this skinny guy from the Chicago area uh, who everyone knew who had really big ears and was running for president. My first reaction was, "Oh, that's Teddy." Didn't know it'd be Obama, but that's just Teddy. He's just known by everybody. Um, one of the things that struck me about Teddy, and there's a particular series that I really like called Everybody Hates Chris, and the little boy in there reminds me of both Teddy and Isaac. But instead of Everybody Hates Chris, we're gonna talk about Everybody Loves Ted today. But one of the characters in Everybody Hates Chris is the neighborhood guy across the street who can never remember Chris's name. He just says, "Hey, little man from across the street." That's what he calls him. He says, "Little man from across the street, let me hold a dollar." Every day he hits Chris up for a dollar. And when I see that character, I think of Teddy. Hey, hey y'all, let me hold a dollar. I think Teddy's borrowed more money than the entire federal government's borrowed. But here's the good thing: as long as Teddy owes you, you'll never be broke. But when I think about Teddy now and I look back over the years, I'm amazed first off that my nephew is a police officer because the comments I hear. Matter of fact, I just spoke to someone recently who was in town. Brother Edwards was in town with my father-in-law for a quick minute, and we got to talking, and he just began to tell me what a good police officer Teddy was, and how well respected he was, and how how even the criminals respect him. But I was thinking, I said, man, is this the same Teddy we talking about? Because as a kid, he was the scariest kid I've ever met. Teddy was so scared his shadow got tired of following him because he just shook all the time. So his shadow would just stop and rest. I remember one day we were walking home from Westside High School back to our neighborhood on the east side. I forget the occasion, but we just decided instead of catching a bus, we just walked. Man, Teddy was so scared all the way home. I mean, he ducked and dodged behind every car. Every person that passed us was a potential criminal. I think it was a senior citizen who was walking out their dog with a walker, and Teddy got afraid of them too. But he got so afraid until after a while he made us paranoid. We really began to think that there was people chasing us in broad daylight. But that's just how Teddy was. I also think about Teddy and his ability to get others in trouble. And one particular story is as a kid, I just wanted to drive. And anything that Danny could do, I wanted to be able to do it, even though I was a few years behind him. And I remember one day, I must have been about maybe 12 years old, I would imagine. And Tim and Teddy and myself, we were talking, and I said, I can drive. They said, you think so? I said, yeah. And so they encouraged me to take Paw Paw's car for a ride. Yeah, go do it. I said, okay, I'll do it. Little did I know that before I could even get to the end of our block, Teddy would run down in the basement, scream and wake Paw Paw up and tell him, Daryl took your car. For those of you who know Paw Paw, his first reaction was, I'm going to kill that little so and so. He ran the steps and he was working to such a frenzy that it took Mama to calm him down. And lo and behold, I made it back safely. He was ready to kill me, and I was ready to kill Teddy. Thank God, neither one of us carried out our mission. But there's just so many funny things that happened to Teddy. I remember the time he had gotten a car, and I think it might have been the back window that seemed to have a leak in it. And so he hired Danny and his friends to fix it for him so that he and Tim could go hang out. They fixed it all right. As they're driving down the street, that same either back window or windshield, I'm not sure which one it was. I can't remember, but I just remember it came flying off their car and landed on the street. Only Teddy could have that moment there. Um, But one of the funniest things I think about Teddy is his ability to be a magician and to just like appear out of nowhere. And what I mean by that, I remember as a kid, Teddy he seemed to live with us, and he loved coming to our neighborhood. There were plenty of kids around, plenty of things to do, and plenty of noise in the neighborhood. He had kids his own age to play with. Jason Green being one of them, and just other kids there. So he never seemed to want to go home. And there were times where, after a while, Mama would be like, "No, Ted, you got to go home," and Gene would like, "Ted, you got to come home." And so we would literally all pile in the car and take him to their home at that time when they lived on the west side of town. And we'd see Gene and we'd see Edward, and we'd leave Teddy there, and we'd go pile into the car and drive back home. And now, mind you, everybody was gone. We all took Teddy home. We knew we took him home. But somehow we would walk in our house, and there would be Teddy sitting on the piano bench waiting for us. How he beat us home and got in the house at 6 years of age, we still don't know. But that was just the way Teddy did things. So, Teddy, even though I can't be there right now to tell you firsthand how special you are to me, I'm so glad to know that Gene and Londi and all the others who are there who thought of this. I think it's so wonderful to celebrate you and your 40 years. I love you, man, and look forward to seeing you next time I'm in Gary. All right, talk to you later.